My name is Ethan, and if you had asked me a year ago what the hardest part of marriage was, I would have said compromise, learning to share space, or maybe adjusting to each other's habits. Now I'll tell you the hardest part is pretending you're fine when the person you love most is slowly pushing you out of their world, one silent night at a time. My wife Laura used to be this warm, playful, affectionate woman. She laughed loud, hugged tight, and made everything feel lighter. But somewhere along the way, between work deadlines, social media obsession, and her constant late-night calls with her friends, something in her shifted. Maybe I should have seen it earlier. Maybe I did and I just didn't want to admit it. It started with small excuses. I'm tired, Ethan. Not tonight, babe. Maybe tomorrow. I'm stressed. Can you just not? Then tomorrow became maybe this weekend, and eventually it became nothing at all. One night, after I tried to kiss her neck while she was scrolling through Instagram, she pushed my hand away and said without even looking at me, "Can you stop? I'm not in the mood." I remember sitting there staring at the ceiling long after she fell asleep, feeling something inside me break. Not because intimacy is everything, but because constant, cold, casual rejection feels like someone is carving pieces out of you with a dull knife. Days turned into weeks. A month passed. Not a single moment of closeness, not even a soft touch or a lingering glance. Just routine conversation about bills and a wall of ice between us. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional starvation. I tried talking to her. God knows I tried. "Laura, are we okay?" "Yeah, we're fine." "You're overthinking again." "Then why does it feel like you don't even want me around?" She sighed like I was annoying her. "Ethan, intimacy isn't everything. Stop acting needy." Needy. That word stayed with me longer than it should have. But I stayed patient. I gave her space. I didn't pressure her or complain. I cooked dinner, handled the chores, made her coffee exactly the way she liked it every morning. Even when she barely said thank you, I kept choosing her every single day, even while I felt unwanted in my own home. Then one evening everything shifted. I was going through our credit card transactions because the bank had flagged a charge. Nothing serious, just security protocol. But as I scrolled, I noticed something. Weekly salon appointments, expensive brunches, clothing hauls, nights out she never mentioned, and Uber rides at midnight when she told me she was just hanging out at Sarah's place in Denver. Nothing inappropriate, nothing damning, but the pattern was clear. She was still enjoying life, still pampering herself, still spending without hesitation. And suddenly something clicked in a way I can't fully explain. She had no problem with holding closeness from me, but still expected me to provide everything for her. Even the luxury parts of her life, even the extras that came from my overtime hours. Even when I was emotionally starving. It wasn't about sex anymore. It was about balance. It was about respect. That night, while she lay beside me scrolling through Pinterest like always, I realized something simple but painful. If she could go a month ignoring my emotional needs, I could go a month ignoring her financial wants. Not out of revenge, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, something I had forgotten I deserved. So the next morning before leaving for work, I sat down with my laptop, logged into our joint account, and adjusted a few settings. Her credit card paused. Her weekly auto transfers disabled. Her access to the emergency fund restricted, not blocked, not cut off, just paused. Exactly the way she had paused our intimacy, our connection, our marriage. When I closed the laptop, something inside me felt calm. Not triumphant, not bitter, just clear. That evening, when she tried to pay for her online order and the payment failed, I knew the conversation was coming. Sure enough, she stormed into the living room. "Ethan, my card isn't working. Did something happen with the bank?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and said quietly, "I guess we're both taking a break from giving things the other person isn't willing to return." Her face froze. She knew exactly what I meant. "Are you serious?" she whispered. "For a month now?" "Yes," I replied. Laura stood in front of me, stunned, as if the idea of consequences had never crossed her mind. For a moment she didn't say anything, just stared, breathing a little too fast, eyes narrowing like she was trying to decide whether to be angry or embarrassed. "Ethan, you're seriously comparing money to intimacy? They're not the same thing." I nodded. "You're right. They're not. But they're both forms of effort. They're both forms of giving. And for the last month you stopped giving." She crossed her arms, that defensive posture I'd seen 1,000 times. I told you I've just been stressed. You always take things personally. I let out a slow breath, not wanting this to turn into another argument where she talked louder instead of listening deeper. Stressed people don't go out 4 nights a week. Stressed people don't spend $200 on a brunch they forgot to mention. You're not stressed, Laura. You checked out and I let you. She blinked, thrown off by my calmness. She was used to me pleading for closeness or apologizing for asking for it. She wasn't prepared for clarity. So what is this? She asked. Punishment. No, I said quietly. It's reflection. If intimacy isn't important to you, then financial support isn't important to me. For 30 days, we're both going to experience what it feels like to give without receiving. She shook her head slowly. You're being ridiculous. Maybe, I said softly. But I'm also finally being honest. Her phone buzzed and she glanced down. The online order she tried earlier had been canceled. Her cheeks reddened. You disabled everything. Without even talking to me. I looked her straight in the eyes. I did talk. You just didn't listen. For the first time in weeks, silence filled the space between us, real silence. Not the cold, distracted kind, but the heavy kind where truths finally settle like dust on unused furniture. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just turned around and walked to the bedroom. And for the first time I didn't follow her. The next few days were awkward. She cooked her own meals. She avoided shopping. She didn't ask for money. She just moved through the house like a cloud. Pretty sure, but still a cloud that kept its distance. One evening I came home to find her sitting at the dining table with her laptop open. Bank statements spread around like the aftermath of a storm. She looked up as I walked in. Ethan, this isn't me. Her voice was softer, smaller. What isn't you? I asked. This version of me you think doesn't care. Her eyes were glossy, almost reflective. I know I pulled away. I know I shut you out. I didn't realize it was hurting you this much. I sat across from her. You didn't want to realize. That's what hurts. She swallowed. I never meant to make you feel unwanted. But you did, I said gently. Every night you rolled away from me. Every time you brushed my hand off like I was asking for too much. Every time you opened your phone instead of opening up to me. She ran her fingers through her hair. I didn't think it mattered that much. It matters, I said. Not just the intimacy, the connection, the effort. Marriage is built on exchange, not of things but of care. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, I miss us, Ethan. I didn't respond right away. I needed to hear more than an apology. I needed to see if she understood. Why now? I finally asked. She looked down at the table. Because when you turned off the money, I realized how much I take from you. Not the financial part, the emotional part. You've always been giving, steady, patient, and I've been selfish. I didn't agree or disagree. I just waited. She reached across the table, hesitating before placing her hand near mine. Close enough for warmth but not touching yet. I don't want us to keep drifting. I don't want to lose you one silent night at a time. It was the first real thing she'd said in months. So I sighed, letting the weight loosen in my chest. I'm not asking for everything, Laura. I just want effort. I want to feel like you choose me too. She wiped her eyes. Then let me start choosing you again. I finally took her hand. It was a simple touch, but it felt like the first step back from an edge we hadn't even seen ourselves approaching. 30 days, I said softly. We both reset. We rebuild. She nodded. Together. And for the first time in a long time I believed her. Because sometimes it doesn't take yelling or threats to fix what's broken. Just a moment of truth and the courage to stop giving what the other person won't.